What makes a masterpiece? How do we decide a film is a masterpiece? Throughout history, and especially more recently, critics are quick to call a film a masterpiece. They will watch a well-made film and instantly say it's perfect because it was well made and there were no obvious flaws technically or within the narrative. People's standards today are so low that they will call an average film a masterpiece. This is partly due to the fact that they watch shallow Hollywood films, so when they see a film with an actual message that is clear and thought out, they become overwhelmed. We must raise our standards. Praising films that try and calling them perfect should not be a normality. What should be normal is well-made films that are made regularly instead of piles of shit that flow from Hollywood. This channel is about improving filmmaking, not accepting the current conditions, but exceeding past them and looking to build something new. Criticism is very important when it comes to improving anything, and is a positive form of criticism, not a negative, subjective form. We are not for disliking something because of feelings, but rather because of principles and rules, which is why building a theory is crucial. This channel is currently building a revolutionary film theory, and in this video, we're going to go over a brief guideline to how we can improve our perspective about film criticism. It's important to first set high standards, and this requires a guideline of sorts to go by when you are reviewing a film. To me, the highest possible standard is the title of a masterpiece. So that is the standard we should set as filmmakers. We must understand that not every film we are going to make is going to be a masterpiece. But when we are making a big project, we should aim for that title. First thing we should cover is the topic of a film. The topic is a big factor in determining the scale of a project. For example, a film covering a small school in Oklahoma is going to have a lot less to cover than a film about World War II. The topic really does determine how big the project is and all the subjects that are to be included in the film. The topic in question should concern every human, or a majority of us. It can be a political or social event, or a universal common struggle that humans share, like the basics of life and death. Something like climate change or class struggle would be great projects that could cover a variety of subjects that concern humanity. Filmmakers need to cover big topics like this in depth in order to fully explore them. So it'd be necessary to break down every subject within the topic and explore them to a sufficient amount that fits the story. Some internal subjects may be explored more than others, which is acceptable. It's also up to the filmmaker to decide what's important to the story. It's how they explore this subject and how in depth they go that we judge them and determine if they have done a good job communicating their thoughts on a subject. The topic also plays into the longevity of the film. To me, a masterpiece has to stand the test of time and not be held to some small cultural trends. It must be elastic, stretching past history and being able to reach humanity a few hundred years down the line and resonate with an audience that didn't even exist when it was made. Each generation will determine if a film is worth their time and if a film truly captures their imagination. This is why it's important to cover core human events or struggles, because everyone can relate to them. Until they are no longer issues, then it becomes a part of human history. If you cover history efficiently, then your film can become crucial to the next generation that could learn about it from your artistic perspective. The next point is how the artist communicates with the audience. If they are able to clearly demonstrate their ideas and bring the audience to their message with clarity and understanding. Once they have their topic and have determined the subjects within this film, then they must explore them visually. The exploration and visual communication are what we judge mainly. Everyone can agree that climate change is something that we don't want to get worse, but how do we communicate this issue? Do we use fear? Try to capture a feeling of urgency? How long do we cover the subjects for? When do we move on to the next sequence? How do we transition from idea to idea? All these small details add up to how exactly the audience receives your information. Each and every step must be precise in order for it to click with them. In order for the audience to understand your message, you have to use the technical tools of filmmaking in order to communicate yourself. Not only should we use all the tools, but we should plan to utilize them to the best of our ability at the highest efficiency. Using elements of natural light, camera movement, framing, space, color, editing rhythms, visual patterns, all these parts of filmmaking add together to make a quality project. We need to understand how they all fit together and how we can use them to get our story across to the audience. In this understanding, we should try to experiment with the technicalities in ways that have not been done before. This experimentation should be to try and improve ways of communication in a creative manner, not just for the sake of experimenting. Experiment with a purpose. Use each tool of filmmaking with a purpose. When you understand all the tools, you can begin to experiment with them, but do so in a way where it serves the story. If there's no need to experiment with your story, then don't. But always try to find new ways of expressing your ideas. As a revolutionary artist, you want to stand out. Another note is make sure you're authentic as an artist. Understanding who you are and why you enjoy the work you do is key to how you approach your craft. Knowing your purpose, embracing it, and pursuing it really helps you as an artist to communicate your vision. The better you understand yourself and your project, the better of a chance you have at communicating your artistic message. I'd also like to add that we are not advocating for all filmmakers to be revolutionaries. All artists are free to make what they want, but we are concerned with changing filmmaking and making films that really inspire the audience towards meaningful action in society. This is the difference between revolutionary art and casual art. We want to change the medium and make a great impact. Most people want to express themselves. There's nothing wrong with just making art. However, there's something to be said when you parade yourself as a great artist when you make average art. There's no reason for someone's ego to be as massive as most artists have when they make mediocre artworks. Those are the people we will expressively call out. When people just want to make art, we encourage that in general and understand that not everyone will share our revolutionary view on filmmaking. The last thing I'll point out about film criticism is I do use a rating system. I know some people do not do this or they use different ratings. I use it because it allows me to categorize my thoughts on a film with a rating. I can organize what I've seen in a database and remember why I have it with such a score because of the criteria that I use. This is totally optional for critics, as I think they should grade films however they are comfortable, as long as they can communicate their thoughts on a film.